questions being asked, not just obviously of Mr. Petrie's role here, but also Sir Tom Farmer's role as owner of the club.
Yep.
What's your relationship like with Sir Tom, and how do you see the club moving forward? Do you think it's in a position to be sold on, fan ownership? What's your thoughts?
Well, again, the honest answer to that is I have met Sir Tom once, and that was part of the process of me being recruited to the club. And for the very relatively straightforward reason was I didn't want to say yes to the recruitment until I'd met the owner. Now, it seems to me that it appears to be a kind of matter of record that Sir Tom has said in the past that, you know, if the right person, the right people came forward, and there is an independent board here at the football club, then, you know, that would be looked at and considered. And, you know, I can't speak for him. I've only met him once. I'm going to meet him again, hopefully in the very near future. But I don't sense that there's any change in that. And I guess that me coming on board with my history, if you like, in terms of supporter involvement and significant supporter involvement that isn't just around representation, perhaps, at least that's an opening or a kind of discussion point. That situation needs to develop. I think that discussion, should and quite rightly will happen, but it will happen in the fullness of time. But there is a process here, I think. The process at the minute is to actually get the football club back on a firm footing as quickly as possible and then take it step by step and stage by stage.
You're planning to meet a lot of Hibs groups in the coming days and weeks. There's a big event happening this weekend, as we all know, with regards to the Petrie Out campaign, as it's been called. What would you say to the guys who are coming there asking for this one thing to happen for the future of the club? What would you say to them? What would your message be?
Well, for them, it's a kind of one-ticket item. It's this, or it's all or nothing. I would say to them, it's a process. I said earlier on in the interview, I think it's too simplistic a viewpoint. I think, there are many elements of culpability at the club in terms of the relegation, for example, and we keep coming back to this idea of change. And it's been dismissed a lot, but it had already been recognised that change was needed at the club. I was approached at a point where Hibernian was 7th in the league and could get into the top 6. If I've said that before, sorry, I'll repeat it again. But, my view in this is that we have to go through a process and focus on the right things. And the right things at this moment in time is to actually get the football club back on a kind of solid footing and focus on the challenges ahead. Now, this league is going to be a very difficult league next season. And that means recruiting the right footballers and getting the right support staff in place, and the non-football side of the club as organised as we possibly can, and take it stage by stage.
The club's been criticised in the past for perhaps not having a direction and proper guidance and a long-term goal. Are you going to bring this in?
It's been criticised. I mean, if you look at no direction, no long-term goal, look at the surroundings in which we're sitting. Yeah, so others, again, will levy the fact that we've focused too much on infrastructure and not enough on the field. Well, again, it's been recognised, and I think I've got a history and, to be able to say that I can hopefully bring that to the table. I'm very much involved, I'm a very hands-on person, very hands-on CEO, and that is exactly how I want to take it forward. So there will be clear direction. I'm going to be involved in every decision, and ultimately they'll be my decisions, and that means from how the academy moves forward, how the football club moves forward, how the team move forward. I'm going to be involved in all of those decisions.
Okay, and have you got your own immediate goals for the next few weeks, months before the next season starts?
Well, I've got a number of plans. I've got a football plan that I'd like to put in place. I've got a non-football plan that I'd like to put in place, but the reality is we are now in a slightly different scenario to where we were a couple of weeks ago, so some of that needs to be readjusted. I want to try, and obviously we need to, the football season will be upon us and upon us quickly, so that's a priority. There is this element of supporter re-engagement, which I think is very, very important. I think the club has held its hands up and said it hasn't been good at that in the past. I think that's quite an easy fix. The communications from the club, I think, have not been as good as they need to be. And we've had a few own goals even this week, and we need to sort that. So these are kind of short-term priorities for me. But there is a bigger kind of bottom-up building job that needs to be done, and I don't think there's any part of the football club that won't be affected or won't be touched. Let's put it that way. But I'm not. It's not a standing start. There are some great things about the football club. We just, at this moment in time, aren't in the best place that we could be. But that's got to be my job, my challenge.
You mentioned accessibility there, and that is also one of the things that's been levied at the club, that fans don't have access to the club, don't have access to the people in positions at the club. Is that, again, something you want to change?
Well, it's about to get thrown wide open. Anybody at Motherwell at Ford Park will tell you that the football club, when I went there, was a football club and nothing else. It's now a massive community asset, and that is absolutely my goal for this football club too. We were in here today, Grant, and I'm sure you can see we're rattling about in this big stadium and there's nobody in it and there's nobody using it. That needs to change. That means supporters getting access to it and using it in any way they want to, in any reasonable way that they want to. And the foundation, there's been a Hibernian foundation in place for a number of years, and they seem to be quite, the club and the foundation are very far apart. Well, actually, we, I think, need to be a big community asset and an anchor, if you like, within community, and that is something that, these are easy fixes that we can get moving quickly, and that will grow and grow and grow and grow. And what you'll start to see, is this club becoming a kind of massive community asset. People coming and get meaningful learning opportunities to work, community football. There are not enough young people or kids playing in Hibernian strips in Edinburgh or the Lothians, and we need to fix that. So that's, again, is that an easy fix? Yeah, with process and structure we can do that, and do that pretty quickly.
The club has asked fans many times over the years to come out and support the club when they've needed to, and they've needed to buy their tickets and fill the stadium, and on many occasions this has happened, and to be honest, the fans haven't had much in return from the club. Is there plans afoot? Would there be a way that the club could say, give something back to the fans instead of just saying turn out in numbers and support us again? I
guess it's this idea of football club, is it in its hour of need? Well, there's an element of that. We've been relegated and we need supporters to stay with us. If supporters leave us now, they leave us at a point where we need them most. We have a conversation to be had. Obviously, season tickets have been sold on the basis of being in the Scottish Premier League. We are now no longer in the Scottish Premier League, so we have to have a conversation with supporters in that regard. Now, that's a situation that I'm going to bring up directly with the supporters groups or the representatives on Saturday.
Is this about the money that's been paid with the expectation of being in the SPFL, and actually the reality is they're in the Championship, and what happens to that money?
Yeah, indeed, what happens to that money. So perhaps what might have happened in the past is that the club would have made a decision and said to supporters, this is what we're going to do. I would like to be a bit more collaborative in that respect and say, this is the implications of X, Y and Z. Have a discussion, and then the supporters group can take that back to the wider supporters base, and hopefully we can make a decision which at this moment in time is right for the supporters, and they feel that they're getting value and information, and that is right for the football club as well. Because we all want to. You asked me earlier about do we want to get out of this division at the first time of asking? Well, of course we do, but we also need to have a football budget to do that. And make no mistake, the vast majority of the income comes from supporters and season tickets and people who walk up through the gate. And if we lose that just now, then it makes the former much more difficult to achieve. So I think supporters have been asked in the past to sort of put their hands in their pockets, continue to come out, particularly when the team hasn't been playing particularly well. Let's be honest, it's a results-driven business and people still come out week after week, week after week, week after week. I need to try and change that. We need to offer more value. And that's different things. It's a different match day environment perhaps, different match day energy. But these are things, Grant, that don't happen overnight. There's not a magic wand to kind of change these things in sort of 5 minutes, 5 days. But these are things that are absolutely on my agenda, and to try and give as much value back to supporters as we possibly can. Because at the end of the day, you want supporters to buy their season tickets and feel that they get great value. They want supporters to come to the club and feel that they are welcome, respected and communicated with properly. And I think that's a kind of strength that I bring. I'm a much more direct person than perhaps that the supporters have been used to in the past. I've always been very accessible and intend to be accessible. So, if there's discussions around value and elements like that, it's something I'm prepared to have, absolutely. Could
it be something, for example, if you said we'll continue to charge season tickets at SPFL prices, but the difference in the money would go to signing players? Would that be an option?
Well, there's any kind of options. It could be, is it money off? Well, if it's money off, it means that there's less income to the club. And if that happens, then there's implications. And if we're happy with that and we all say yes, then fine. The implications of that is, football budget. But, it could be cup tickets. It could be money off next year's season ticket. It could be, we are really quite genuinely open for a collaborative discussion on this. I think perhaps in the past what might have happened is the club would have said, this is what we want to do, this is what's going to happen. We want to move away from that. And I know it's a sensitive subject, and I know that a high number of supporters, have bought season tickets on the basis that they were going to be in the Scottish Premier League. But I'm also getting a lot of feedback from supporters who say, but do you know what, that is not the most important element of my decision at the minute. The most important element of my decision at the minute in supporting the club moving forward is, do I think there's going to be change? Do I feel a bit more confident about the future? And it's mixed at the minute. I mean, people need to get to know me, need to get to understand how I operate, and hopefully we'll start to sort of gain some trust. So, it's been there has been a number of things that have been kind of thrown at me, if you like, in the last few days. The season tickets is one of them, but it's something I want to resolve quickly because we've got a number of inquiries, and we want to resolve it in a way that is, agreeable and beneficial for everybody.